All right, if you've watched part 1 of this series, you've already seen some of the symptoms that could be due to stress. Now let's jump into talking about how to fix it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Jessica. I'm a naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist as well as a health coach. And I help clients overcome stress, anxiety, fatigue, overwhelm, and all the symptoms that come along with burnout. So let's talk about some of the solutions for dealing with stress. Now, if you've been on this channel before and seen any of my videos, you already know that it's gonna go back to lifestyle changes. And the first thing that I like to talk about is really prioritizing your values. Now, here's the thing. We're never gonna get rid of all the stress that we have in our life, right? A lot of times we have to have a job, we have to maintain our relationship with friends and family. We just have a lot of responsibilities. But one of the most important things you could do is to really take the time to sit down and figure out what are your values? What do you value most in life? And then to see what activities or what behaviors or what habits that you have in your life that align with those values. And more importantly, which ones are not in alignment with that. A great way to do this is use a tool called the Values Card Sort. Now, I'll leave a link in the description box. It's literally a set of cards that have different types of values on them. And what you do is you actually go through them one by one and kind of put them into two piles, important to me versus not important to me. This is a great way to take a little bit of a step back and look at your values a little bit more objectively. Now, when you do this, this is gonna help you then to start to align your behaviors and your actions and your responsibilities along with those values. We can't do everything all the time, everywhere. But what we can do is prioritize. And using a system like this really does help you to objectively see kind of what are your values and what should your priorities be. So that's usually a great step to start with. The next solution that I have for dealing with stress is really working with your mindset. There are multiple ways to go about this. One of my favorite ways is working with meditation or mindfulness practices. If you have not seen my series on meditation, why it's important, and actually how to do it or how to get started, then be sure to check out this playlist up here. I go into depth about why meditation is really important, how it actually works, how it actually helps to stop the cycle of thoughts that usually start to make us spiral and start to increase our cortisol and put us into that sympathetic mode. And then I also have a second video that is actually a guided meditation for beginners. So if you've never meditated before or would like to get into meditation, check out that video as well. Now, meditation or mindfulness is a great way to help deal with stress because it really does stop that flow of thoughts that you have really a lot of times unconsciously. Now, why is this important? Well, in order to change our thoughts to thoughts that are better going to serve us and thoughts that are going to push us towards a parasympathetic mode, we first have to become aware of them, right? And the practice of mindfulness, the practice of meditation is a great way to start to become aware of all the crazy thoughts you're having. So if you can change your thoughts, then you can start to change the way you feel. And when you really start to change the way you feel, you'll start to shift naturally into more of a parasympathetic state. Again, parasympathetic state is our rest and digest nervous system. That is the nervous system that kind of puts the brake on the sympathetic, helps us relax, helps us to mitigate the stress response, and breaks us out of that chronic stress pattern. Now, there are many ways to go about this. You can do things like meditation, you can cultivate mindful practices, you can work with your heart rate variability by either doing breath exercises, doing mindfulness exercises. There are so many ways to go about this. You could do journaling. You just have to find that thing that really works for you and the thing that you really resonate with. And this is actually one of the things that I really help a lot with in my coaching practice inside my program, The Better Health Blueprint. I help you identify tools that are actually going to work for you, and I help you work through the problems that come along with that and offer you solutions. One of the things that really stops people from starting meditation is they think that they sit there one day and they're having all these thoughts and then they say, oh, I failed at that. Well, as your coach, I'm there to help guide you through that and help to talk about ways to overcome that as well. So if you're interested in learning about that program and working with me virtually to overcome your stress, anxiety, fatigue, all that, then why don't you click the link below to learn more. Working with your mindset or working with your breath is a great way to deal with emotional stress, chemical stress, and physical stress. So another great way when dealing with all these types of stress is actually movement or exercise. I try not to say exercise because a lot of people think of it as a dirty word. But we do know that regular exercise helps us with our stress response. It helps to reduce overall stress. Even though at the time when we're exerting the physical activity, it is technically a stressful event, but the effect afterwards is that we are more resilient to stress. So again, working with exercise, incorporating movement, it could be just walking. You can incorporate resistance training. You can incorporate spinning, walking, hiking, running. Totally depends on what you enjoy. And if you don't enjoy any type of movement, there's always things like yoga and working with flexibility as well. So incorporating movement, I cannot stress enough how important, no pun intended, but I cannot stress enough how important it is to really helping your overall stress response. Now, I want to specifically talk a little bit more about how to deal with chemical stress. So this can come from our diet, it can come from our environment, or it can also come from our body's own inability to deal with something called oxidative stress. Now, I do talk about oxidative stress in another video. I'll leave the link up here where I go into more depth. But oxidative stress in a nutshell really has to do with your body not being able to deal with the toxins that come outside of normal metabolic processes. So one way to ensure that your body is capable of doing that and deal with that type of stress is to check in with your diet and your nutrition. A lot of times we need a lot of vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients to make sure we have enough cofactors to support that detoxification from these metabolic processes. When it comes to your nutrition as well, or your diet, one of the things you need to think about when it comes to chemical stress are some of the additives or some of the chemicals, be them pesticides, herbicides, or just pollution that might be in your food. So one of the ways of looking at this is taking a closer look at your nutrition and determining, where you can eat organic versus non-organic, or figuring out what you can do to help reduce that toxic load. Another important thing to look at when it comes to dealing with chemical stress is looking at your environment and what types of toxins are around. If you're a smoker, you should probably stop smoking, or if there's a lot of pollution or things like mold in your home, it's always a good idea to assess your environment. So when it comes to dealing with chemical stress, there is a lot you can do just by looking at your diet, just by cleaning up the environment around you, and also helping to promote healthy pathways of detoxification with things like sweating or even things like breathing exercises. So again, I go into way more detail with this inside of my program, the Better Health Blueprint. Again, if you are interested, click the link below and you can learn more about that. All right, so just to recap, we talked first about prioritizing your values and starting to say no to some of the things that don't align with those values. This will help you to reduce your overall stress levels for sure. I cannot stress how important this actually is. Next thing we talked about, working with your mindset or mindfulness. We talked about exercise or movement, and we also talked about dealing with chemical stress through your diet and through working with your environment. All right, I hope this video was helpful. If you have questions, as always, leave them in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you know when I post new videos every week. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help out the channel and help new people see the channel as well. All right, I will see you in the next video. Bye.